the Eagles tonight. Number 21, Garrett Bodine. Batting sixth, third baseman, number 15, Gabriel Gonzalez. Center fielder, number 5, Clay Vincleric. Batting eighth, designated hitter, number 20, Garrett Seagraves. Batting for right fielder, number 8, Holden Suarez. Batting ninth, first baseman, number 22, Benji Garrison. The Cedar Creek Eagles are coached by Josh Thomas and assistants Clint Wise and Brett Hoffman. And now for your Rouse Raiders. Leading off at second base, number 2, Nick Kipple. And in right field, number 55, Dalton Porter. At first base, number 20,
Ramos toes in on the rubber. He deals a fastball upstairs that just misses for ball one. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to SHN Sports. I'm Michael Francis alongside Karl Schoening tonight. That pitch sails outside for ball two. Rouse Raiders coming off a loss on Saturday to the Cedar Park Timberwolves look to bounce back here against the Cedar Creek Eagles as Figueroa takes ball three. 3-0 the count to Ashton. Ramos picks up the sign from Vanoy. He winds and deals. This is high and outside for ball four, and Figueroa reaches on 4 straight pitches. A free pass from Ramos.
Yeah, Ramos just trying to ease into his start here today, and he'll get a quick meeting from Vanoy just to try to calm him down. 4-pitch walk, no way any pitcher wants to start the day, but a couple of those were close, and just build on the confidence of getting a strike here with a runner on, and try to make sure that like we talked about last time, that 1 out 4 start off walk doesn't go in.
Now batting number 2, Payne Allen. Number 2, Payne Allen, the left fielder, stands in for the Eagles. 1 on, no outs here in the top of the first as Allen takes for ball 1. Ramos yet to find a strike zone with 5 pitches so far, all of them balls. The 1-0 pitch in for a called strike. Must have had a little bit of breaking action that crossed over the plate. 1-1 the count to Allen. Figueroa at first. Ramos winds, bunt shown. It's popped up and caught by Caleb Diaz. And Allen is retired for the first out of the inning. Figueroa gets back to first in time. Just a pop-up bunt, and that's one thing that really frustrates coaches is when you get a batter that's the call is to get the bunt down. He's trying to lay it down the third baseline, and he pops it up and makes it playable for either the third baseman or the catcher and pitcher. And Caleb plays close to the grass most of the time. Ramos winds and fires. It's fastball down the middle. That one's cut on and missed for strike 1.
There you go. Now he's starting to find the strike zone. He's forcing these bats to move a little bit after that 4-pitch walk.
0-1 to Philip Figueroa. A back pick by Vanoy. Not in time as Figueroa gets back in. Now batting for the Eagles, number 11, Philip Figueroa. Ramos checks Figueroa at first. Throw over will not be in time as Figueroa was close to the bag that he could go in standing up. You got a Figueroa at the plate and a Figueroa at first. 1-1 the count. The pitch. Curveball. That's cut on and popped up in playable position. Lance Little makes the catch. And Figueroa is retired.
Yeah,
2 away here in the top of the first.
Yeah, after that leadoff walk there, it seems that 2 quick outs are just what the doctor ordered for Rouse, and a couple pop-ups helping with the effort.
Now batting number 9, Hunter Houston. Number 9, Hunter Houston stands in for the Eagles. And he takes for ball 1. Runner at first with 2 outs here in the top of the first for the Cedar Creek Eagles. Ramos throws over. Man, he has a quick pickoff, but not in time. It's sailed high. And Figueroa able to get back in time. The 1-0 from Ramos, a breaking ball in for a called strike. And the count evens up at 1. Houston, the 4th batter of the inning. And Ramos gets the outside call on that backdoor slider. And now gets ahead in the count, 1-2. Figueroa works his lead, extends it there at first. It's fouled off, and the count remains 1-2. A beautiful night here in Leander on the campus of Rouse High School here at Raider Field. Wind blowing out of the south. That's chopped on to Caleb Diaz at third. The throw over to first to Lance Little in time. And the side is retired. No runs on no hits and no errors. And on to the bottom we go with a tie ball game between the Eagles and your Rouse Raiders.
Oh, I'll get the connection. I noticed that it's not connected, but it's all good. So.
Leading off for the Rouse Raiders, second baseman, number 2, Nick Hempel. Dalton Porter on deck for the Raiders. Number 21, Garrett Bodine on the hill for the Eagles. Bodine picks up the sign. He winds and deals. First pitch in for a called strike. Hempel taking. 0-1 the count. Raider bats really need to come alive tonight as they struggled versus Cedar Park. Got 5 hits, but unable to get anybody around. And pitch misses for ball 1. The count evens. Again, we have no score here in Leander. Bodine winds. Pitch down low and in the dirt for ball 2. 2-1 the count to Hempel. Nice, beautiful night for baseball here in Leander, Texas. And if I may, I will borrow from Mark Holtz. It's baseball time in Texas. Another pitch misses low.
Oh, perfect weather. And, you know, tonight's game actually scheduled for tomorrow, and the area decides that inclement weather is probably going to take factor, and we'll just go ahead and play him today.
The 3-1 pitch. That's inside for ball 4. And Hempel finds himself on base with a free pass. Reminiscent of Friday's game versus Cedar Park, where Hempel drew 3 consecutive walks. against Cedar Park pitching. Now batting for the Raiders, number 55, Dalton Porter. Dalton Porter now standing in for the Raiders. This is a lefty-righty matchup. Bodine, a right-handed pitcher. And Porter, left-handed batter. Lance Little on deck. Bodine comes set to pitch upstairs and outside for ball one.
Cedar Creek was able to get their leadoff batter on with a walk, so not capitalizing that in the top of the first. Maybe the Raiders can go ahead and take advantage of their leadoff walk here in the bottom half of the inning.
That would be good if they could. The 1-0 pitch from Bodine. That is cut on and fouled out of play to the left side. Wind was blowing really stronger earlier, and the sun's starting to go down, so it's throw over to first, not in time, as Hempel dives back in. And I was thinking as I was walking into the ballpark that anything hit to left may go out. Pitch down Broadway for strike one. 2, sorry. 1-2 the count to Porter. Throw over to first, not in time as Hempel dives back in.
Yeah, Bodine doesn't really like the lead that Hempel was getting off to, so he's trying to keep him close to the bag, but he still has a pretty healthy lead out to that cut.
Benji Garrison working to keep him close. Hempel extends his lead. This is cut on, and the double play will not be happening as the shortstop, Philip Figueroa, held on to the ball as Porter was hustling down the line, so it's a fielder's choice. And that'll go 4-6 on the putout. One away with one on, runner at first for the Raiders as number 20, Lance Little, stands in. Now batting for the Raiders, number 20, Lance Little. Bodine checks Porter at first. The pitch. In for a strike as Little was taking all the way. One strike to Little. Cody Vanoy on deck for the Raiders. Bodine sets. Another pitch down the middle for strike two, and Little finds himself in a deep hole early here in the at-bat. Bodine from the stretch to throw over to first. Not in time. And Porter with a high leg kick as he stands back on the bag.
Yeah, he didn't need to slide. He wasn't that far away. Thought Hempel was over there, who takes a bigger lead out to the cut.
The pitch. That's chopped on. That gets through into right field. That'll be a single for Lance Little. He gets the first hit of the game. And that'll bring up the catcher, Cody Vanoy. 2 on with 1 out here in the bottom of the first in a scoreless ball game. You just got to love baseball in the spring. You see the fields are green from all the rains, and they look really good. And you start getting look closer towards summer, and you get into playoff baseball, and you start seeing some of these fields starting to dry out just a little bit. And fortunately, several more high school teams' fields are actually turf fields.
Yeah, you're seeing that more common. I guess it's a little easier to keep up with, but some of these grass fields are a little bit harder to maintain over the course of a whole year when they're only being used for a good quarter of the year.
Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, number 1, Cody Vanoy.
Bodine checks Porter at second. Wise, this is cut on and hit out towards center. The catch is made. Porter is almost a third, and a throw. Wow.
Yeah, that was
from the center fielder. He just totally overthrew the cutoff man, and it sailed over the left or right field line.
Yeah, Porter kind of thought that was going to drop, and it hung in the air just a little bit longer, but luckily for him, Van Cleric out there in center threw something that not even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar could have caught.
No, not at all.
Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, number 10, Hayden Thomas.
Bodine again checks Porter at second. Pitch, a slider down and away for ball one. Thomas moving up in the order. He's now batting in the 5th position, moving up from the 8th position from Friday and Saturday as his batting has improved. Fastball, this is hit out to the left and just hits the yellow top of the fence. The throw home is in time. And the baseball is out of the catcher's glove. I thought he had it, but the smoke clears and the baseball is sitting on the home plate. And Lance Little scores. The Raiders get 2 runs as Little slid and took out the feet of the catcher and was able to score the run. Nice bit of work from Hayden Thomas, who just missed going yard and driving 3 runs in.
Now batting number 11, Robbie Ramos.
Robbie Ramos, the pitcher, standing in for the Raiders. He looks at a fastball for strike 1. What a monster shot by Hayden Thomas.
As if on cue, as you were saying, his batting improved. If the wind were what it were before the game, that might have been gone.
1 on with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 1st. Slider down and away for ball 1. 2 runs on 2 hits, no errors. The man on for Robbie Ramos saying, let's trade places. The 1-1 pitch from Bodine. A breaking ball. Wow. Even the pitcher is, he's even grinning about that one. He's like, what?
You take them as they come.
Right. He called that a strike. He's like, okay. 2-2, deuces wild to Robbie Ramos. That pitch misses outside, but the umpire looked like he was ready to pull the pin. Well, I'm not sure if the scoreboard was right. That's cut on. That's hit over to first. The pitcher over to cover. And the side is retired. The Raiders strand 1 after 1 complete. Raiders score 2 runs on 2 hits and no errors. The Eagles, no runs, no hits, and no errors. On to the 2nd we go here in Leander. Leading off for the Eagles here in the top of the second, Garrett Bodine, the pitcher. Ramos back on the hill for the Raiders. The wind and fire, that's outside for ball one. Ramos working quickly. This pitch fouled off and out of play to the right side.
Yeah, he was eager to find the strike zone after that first pitch missed outside, and he did so, and hey, way to even up the count, even though I usually don't advise throwing it right as you catch it, but it works.
The 1-1 pitch from Ramos coming up. He shakes off a sign from Vanoy. He toes in on the rubber, and a breaking ball. That's hit out to left. That'll be a base hit for Bodine. Now batting, number 15, Gabriel Gonzalez. Baseman, number 15, Gabriel Gonzalez, now stands in for the Eagles. Time called is hold on. I think we have a defensive change here for the Raiders. I am thinking that Jared Southard has now stepped in and is behind the plate for the Rouse Raiders. Southard, a catcher, and but has not actively played catcher in over a season. So last year, Cody Vanoy came on board for the Raiders and assumed the full-time catching duties. So seeing Southern at a position he hasn't played in a while. That pitch misses for ball one to Gabriel Gonzalez.
Maybe it's like riding a bike.
Hopefully so. The 1-0 from Ramos. It was a bunt. Southern has it. Throw over to first in time. The runner moves over. So the bunt worked. That'll be a sacrifice bunt to Gabriel Gonzalez. That'll bring up number 5, Clavin Cleric. Now batting for the Eagles, number 5, Clavin Cleric. The Eagles with a runner in scoring position here in the top of the second. The Raiders lead 2-0. Ramos steps off and looks Bodine back to first.
Well, you know, they tried that sacrifice bunt with Payne Allen back in the first inning when they got a leadoff walk, and it works for them this time.
The pitch from Ramos sails upstairs for ball one. Trying to see if maybe they've brought in a courtesy runner. That's definitely not Bodine at second base. The pitch from Ramos misses inside. Southern has it. A bad throw down to third, wide of the bag, and the runner is safe, and I believe that is number 7, Brandon Osoria.
Now, Osoria working his way around the base paths, help a little bit what I think will go down as a pass ball.
Pitch fouled off for strike one. 2-1 the count to Cleric. Southern had him all the way. Had the throw been accurate down to Diaz at third base. Pitch from Ramos, that's down the middle. It's popped up and playable to first base. Lance Little makes the catch, and Van Cleric is retired. 2 away. And that'll bring up number 20, the designated hitter, Garrett Seagraves. Now batting for the Eagles, designated hitter number 20, Garrett Seagraves. One on with 2 outs. Here in the top of the second, as Seagraves takes for strike 1. Ramos taking more time, pitching from the windup, a swing and a miss for strike 2. Nothing and 2 the count to Seagraves. The wind and the pitch, that's up high and outside for ball 1. Ramos much better at finding the strike zone. With just as I say that, he drops in a curveball. And Seagraves is caught looking, and the Eagles are retired. After 1.5, it's your Rouse Raiders. 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors. And the Eagles, no runs, 1 hit, and no errors. A 2-0 lead for your Rouse Raiders. On to the bottom we go.
This is Abby Hake.
This is Karl Schoening.
And this is Rob Hipp, and we are SHN Sports, your source for live high school football action in Central Texas. Please join us on Thursday and Friday nights for live coverage before, during, and after the games. That's SHNSports.com. Your team, your broadcast.
2015 10-5, touchdown Dakota Cahill.
This broadcast is under the direction and is copywritten by the Schoening Hip Network. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, use of sound bites and interviews, and use of any other content, including audio or video, without the direct written consent and permission by the Schoening Hip Network is strictly prohibited and protected by federal and copyright laws. All rights are reserved by the Schoening Hip Network and SHNSports.com.
What a monster shot. John Dominguez stands in. This is over the fence, folks. A home run for John Dominguez. And, I mean, he launched it right off the bat, and there was no denying that that was going to go out of the park. John Dominguez makes his trot around with his first home run of the year. Congratulations. Hats off to you, young man.
Oh, that pitch had a blinking light that said hit me, and Dominguez rode that one all the way to left field, and I don't think he needed the help of the wind. That was clearly over the fence and gone. It's the way to start off bottom of the second.
Cody Kelch. Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, number 14, Cody Kelch. Cody Kelch now stands in. Gosh. Come on. I'm working on it. Nothing in one, the count. There was no pitch on that as we had some technical difficulties here in the booth.
No worries. Technical difficulties happen, and it seems to me that it looked like it was a swing and a miss, and now Cedar Creek thinking that maybe there's a little home field advantage going on, and it should be 0-2, and it's going to be an argument here that I don't think will change anything, and we'll have it 0-1 to Kelch again.
All right. Get back on track here. I'm just going to make sure that's a little further away. The 0-1 pitch from Bodine. This is hit out the middle. This will fall in for a base hit, and Cody Kelch rounds first, and he'll turn back safely.
Moot point.
Moot point, and that'll bring up number 9, Caleb Diaz. Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, number 9, Caleb Diaz. Nick Hempel on deck for the Raiders. 1 on with no outs here in the top of the second. Bodine has a sign. Oh, my goodness. Caleb Diaz pops a bunt, and it goes out to the infield grass into the dirt for a base hit. An infield hit for Caleb Diaz on a bunt.
You know, I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. Usually those pop-up bunts are tracked on by the infield, but that was placed unintentionally, perfectly for a base hit, and that's 3 straight hits to bring us back to the top of the order.
Second bait now. Now batting number 2, Nick Hempel. Second baseman was playing back on the outfield grass, and so he was deep enough and is far enough over the pitcher's head. And another bunt, Nick Hempel is out at first, but the runners advanced to second and third respectively on the sacrifice from Nick Hempel.
Well, that's a way to do it, and that's how it works.
Now batting number 55. One away. 3 runs have scored for the Raiders. Pitch gets the outside corner for strike 1. He really likes that outside pitch. The 0-1 from Bodine is swung on and missed for strike 2. Porter way behind. 0-2. Lance Little standing on deck for the Raiders. That's up down the right field line. That's going to be a base hit. That'll score Kelch and also Caleb Diaz. Dalton Porter picks up 2 RBIs on the single. Raiders now with a 5-run lead off 6 hits. So the line 5, 6, and 0 for the Raiders here in the bottom of the second. Now batting for the Raiders, number 20, Lance Little. Lance Little now stands in. He swings a huge lumberjack hack.
High fastball, a little hard to lay off of for anybody, and he missed it there.
Porter extends his lead. He's off. He's down the line. It's fouled off, and Porter would have easily had the stolen base. But will have to turn around and make his trek back to first. And again, another Raider down in the count, 0-2. Seems to be a common theme so far. Throw over from Bodine will not be in time as Porter is back in standing up. 1 on with 1 out here in the bottom of the second. Raiders lead 5-0. Jared Southard on deck. The pitch from Bodine as Little gets a piece of it. Count remains 0-2. Little in the same count as his first at bat and got a single in the right field line. The 0-2 pitch from Bodine. That's in the dirt for ball 1, and Porter scampers down to second base. A little bit of a pass ball from Hunter Houston, but it didn't get far, and Dalton Porter had the jump, and down the line he went. Bodine from the stretch. He checks Porter at second, He winds and comes home. It is fouled off to the fence and out of play.
Bodine getting worked on here in the bottom of the second, and Raiders kind of need to, at least if nothing else, take advantage and make sure that his pitch count goes up here in this at least 6 at-bats second inning.
The 1-2 is chopped on down the first base line. It pops up, but the first baseman was able to play it. The pitcher runs over and is able to make the play to get the out. Dalton Porter moves down to third. That's 2 away.
A fortunate bounce there on the first base bag. Almost just not fortunate enough for the Raiders.
Now batting for the Raiders, number 23, Jared Southern. Bodine picks up the sign from Houston. He deals, and that's down and away for ball 1.
Hope everything's all good with Vinoy. It's kind of odd to see a catcher come out in the second inning.
Pitch misses outside for ball 2. 2-0 the count to Jared Southern. Dalton Porter just 90 feet away. That pitch sails high and outside for ball 3, and Southern probably has the take for this one as he struggled to find the zone. Houston gives the sign. Bodine winds. A pitch down in the dirt for ball 4. And Southern draws the walk. 2 on with 2 out for Hayden Thomas. Hayden Thomas with a stand-up double his last at bat on a ball that was just inches from going out of the park. Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, number 10, Hayden Thomas. Time is called, and the courtesy runner and Ethan Moore. Coach Crampine didn't know that Coach LaPaglia had already made the change for Southern being catcher. So a little humor. I think they're chanting to him over there. The throw over to first, not in time as Ethan dives back in. Robbie Ramos on deck.
If he gets on, that would be 9 hitters in this inning.
No pitch to Thomas so far. The wind from Bodine, that's in the dirt for ball 1. Bodine working methodically and slowly here in the second. Runners on the corners for the Raiders, first and third. The pitch is in the dirt, and Ethan scampers down to second base. He picks up the stolen base with defensive indifference. Two and 0 the count to Thomas. The wind and the pitch. It's down and away for ball 3. And again, he is just struggling to find the zone, knowing that Thomas took him deep a while ago, and the potential could be to take it over the fence this time. The 3-0 pitch, that's in the dirt for ball 4, and Bodine has given up his second walk of the inning. Runners that are at each base, so bases loaded for Robbie Ramos. Ramos grounded out his first at bat. The pitch in for a called strike. Now batting for the Raiders, number 11, Robbie Ramos. Nothing in one, the count to Ramos. Bodine winds, he comes home. That gets away on the wild pitch, and that'll score Porter. 4 runs have scored this inning for the Raiders. 6 runs, 6 hits, no errors.
And Ramos here being the 9th hitter to come to the plate for the Raiders in this second inning. So certainly a happy inning here for the Rouse Raiders.
Runners advance, so you have Hayden Thomas at second and Ethan Moore at third base. Bodine winds, he comes home. This is chopped up the middle, and this is going to fall in for a hit. That'll score Ethan Moore and Hayden Thomas. 2 more runs have scored for the Raiders, and Robbie Ramos gets the single. And the Raiders will now bat their 10th batter in the inning. Courtesy runner comes in for Robbie Ramos in the form of number 4, Patrick Sosa. John Dominguez now at the plate.
And it looks like that might be the end of Bodine's night. It will be.
Looks like Cedar Creek making some defensive changes. Looks like I will give you, I believe it may be 13. It's hard to distinguish between the black and the blue on the uniform.
He'll turn around for us in a moment.
And we'll let you know who the new pitcher is and try to make out the. And we got a sidewinder on the hill. Cody Kelch will be batting for the Raiders. Oh, wait, no, I think John Dominguez. Let's see. Yeah, John Dominguez will be back up. And Cody Kelch will be on deck. Patrick Sosa will be courtesy running for Robbie Ramos at first base. Number 13, Cameron Burns, is now pitching for the Cedar Creek Eagles.
Bodine to Burns.
Now pitching for Cedar Creek, number 13, Cameron Burns. Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, number 6, John Dominguez. Burns throwing in his warm-up, maybe just a tad bit softer than what Bodine was throwing on his fastball. See a little different arm action and see how Rouse will adjust.
I can't say I've ever seen a coach just kind of stand behind the mound and watch as a pitcher warms up between, pitching changes. Maybe it's a little more common than I realize, but tonight just kind of something odd that I've noticed here during Burns' warm-ups.
You don't see it too often. Usually if they're going to stand and watch their pitcher, you might see him for a pitch or two, but he's consistently watched him the whole time he's been warming up. I know Coach Krempine from time to time will stand and watch his pitcher just to get a feel on how they're seeing the zone and hitting the catcher, hitting the mitt.
Doesn't seem like he has any advice to offer as he walks off.
The score here in Leander, your Rouse Raiders 8, Cedar Creek nothing. Raiders have scored 8 runs on 7 hits and no errors.
And Dominguez coming back up. He's got this inning started off with a nice home run that was a no-doubter over the left field line.
He had him a nice little Jimmy Jack. It went deep on the home run. Well, we're ready to go. As Burns toes in on the rubber. Hunter Houston back behind the plate, and John Dominguez at the bat. Burns has the sign. He deals a pitch high and outside, and Patrick Sosa scampers down to second base. Got to get over in the other inning bracket.
Right? Yeah. Here as we start off Dominguez's second at-bat of the second.
The 1-0. This is popped up, possibly playable. Third baseman tracks it, makes the catch, and the side is retired. The Raiders score 8 runs on 7 hits and no errors. On to the third we go with an 8-0 lead here in Leander. And here we go into the third. A pitch from Ramos is swung on and missed for strike one by number 22, Benji Garrison. Garrison with his first at bat. I think they're getting a dugout warning. I'm not sure, but I think he's telling Coach Crimpine he needs to stay in the dugout.
Unless he wants to make a substitution of some kind. Vinoy maybe coming back in? Or
I don't see Vinoy dressed in gear.
He pointed down to Southard, and Southard kind of walked towards him, and now, maybe he was pointing to the home plate umpire. See if we can get this straightened out. This is one of those things where it's like it'd be cool if we could get a coach mic'd up and just tune into the conversation and have the dump button ready just in case there's maybe an expletive dropped. I don't think there would be, but you never know. But no, right now, it's a situation where it looks like Ramos is just trying to keep his arm warm. And is something perhaps the matter with the field? I see all the lights are on.
I don't think it's a question of that. I think either there's a dugout warning or possibly didn't note the substitution. That you were seemed like they were pointing at Southard, but I think Coach Crimpine was waving the home plate umpire to come down and not Southard.
Yeah.
So hard to pick out what's really going on here, and this is extending a little bit. More of a concern, I think, is that maybe it's where Coach Krempine is actually standing outside the dugout. Typically, he'll stand to this side of the dugout, more toward the home plate than actually in the dugout. But that's where he always stands, and he's never been called for it before. So, not exactly sure what's going on here.
Yeah, this is interesting because this kind of takes away Ramos's momentum. He was really picking it up there from the mound and delivered a strike to start this inning. And, it's one of these things in baseball where nothing will really change. Probably it'll still be an 0-1 count as if nothing had happened,
Evidently, that's exactly what the argument was, is Coach Krempine is now at the edge of the concrete.
Is this legal?
In the dugout.
Porter out there doing some push-ups just to keep himself active.
Earlier in the season, in a tournament game, Leander and Rouse were playing each other, and Rouse had a player actually ejected from the game for wearing one of those rubber armbands.
Oh, wow.
And the umpire considered it to be jewelry and ejected both the coach and the player.
Oh, wow. I feel like that's an abuse of power.
So I'm not exactly sure, but I've heard that there might have been a formal complaint filed with the umpire authority.
Looks like Ramos is just trying to stay sharp, though. And
here in this area, they're calling Coach Krempine back out. This is turning into an extended delay. I believe we've gone nearly 5 minutes.
Yeah, we had that pitch to start off the inning, and now, we're pushing several minutes, and this is certainly going to affect someone like Ramos, who's just trying to keep loose at this point. And I guess technically this won't go against his pitch count, but at the same time, you don't want it to get cold and you don't want it to get too worn. So we'll see if this will be resolved quickly, and I guess it will be now.
They're breaking up.
Whatever that was.
Whatever that was, and I can tell you that Coach Krempine is now on the concrete, so that umpire that was complaining that he was out in the field to play, evidently, and so has since sent him back. The 0-1 pitch from Ramos as we get started here misses low, and the count evens up at 1-1 to Benji Garrison. 1-1 pitch from Ramos, and that's fouled off for strike 2. 1-2, the count to Garrison. No outs here in the top of the third for the Eagles as we're getting started. Again, fouled off, and the count remains 1-2. Wind's starting to pick up a little more. This is blowing from right to left. Curveball in for strike 3, and Garrison, caught looking, is retired for the first out of the inning. Back to the top of the order we go, and that'll bring up number 12, Ashton Figueroa. Now batting for the Eagles, number 12, Ashton Figueroa. Figueroa drew the walk his first at bat. Pitch just misses outside for ball 1. That was a nice looking pitch. Had a nice little bit of break to it there as it tailed away at the end. The 1-0. That curveball fell in for a strike. And the count evens up to Figueroa, 1-1. Nobody on. That was chopped on and fouled back for strike 2. 1-2, the count to Figueroa. Bring you up to speed. The Eagles are down to the Raiders 8-0 here in the top of the third. Ramos picks up the sign. Well, Southern's asking Coach to run through the signs. Now he gives the sign. Ramos has it. He winds and comes home, and Allen gets just a piece of it for strike one.
Figueroa.
I'm sorry. Figueroa gets just a piece of it for strike one. I'll say that. Swing and a miss. And Figueroa is retired.
Well, we talked about Ramos potentially getting, a little momentum loss there with that meeting, but that's his third straight strikeout.
Number 2, Payne Allen, now batting for the Eagles. Picks up his third strikeout and his back-to-back strikeouts here to get the inning started. Number 2, Payne Allen, the left fielder, now stands in for the Eagles. Ramos winds. He comes home. That's high and up above the strike zone for ball one. The 1-0 pitch sails wide. It's going to be ball two to Allen.
Well, no harm done since nobody's on, but Ramos just had that one get away from him, I believe.
The 2-0 pitch in the dirt for ball three. Ramos hasn't had a 3-0 count in quite a while. The pitch. I'm not sure where that missed, but ball four. And Payne Allen finds himself at first base. One on. Now batting, number 11, Philip Figueroa. Number 11, Philip Figueroa, now stands in as he takes a curveball for a strike. Ashton Figueroa was retired on a strikeout, and Payne Allen is at first with a walk. The 0-1 pitch. A check swing and a miss for strike two. Runner at first with 2 outs for the Eagles. Curveball in for strike three, and Figueroa caught looking for the third out of the inning. Well, after 2.5, it's your Rouse Raiders leading the Cedar Creek Eagles by a score of 8-0. 8 runs, 7 hits, no errors to no runs, 1 hit, and 1 error. No errors for the Eagles.
This broadcast is under the direction and is copywritten by the Schoening Hip Network. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, use of sound bites and interviews, and use of any other content, including audio or video, without the direct written consent and permission by the Schoening Hip Network is strictly prohibited and protected by federal and copyright laws. All rights are reserved by the Schoening Hip Network and SHNSports.com.
Leading off the third for the Rouse Raiders, number 14, Cody Kelch. As he takes strike one from the sidearm dealing Burns. Cody singled back in the second inning. It is first and only at bat. The 0-1 just gets the top of the zone for strike two, and Kelch down in the count. 0-2. Caleb Diaz on deck for the Raiders. Burns picks up the sign, the pitch, swing and a miss, and Kelch down the line on the drop third strike. And Houston able to get it to Garrison to complete the strikeout. So that'll go 2-3 on the strikeout. Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, number 9, Caleb Diaz. Caleb Diaz stands in for the Raiders, number 9 batter, wearing number 9. The pitch misses high for ball one. Caleb Diaz also with a single back in the second and did score. Nick Hempel on deck. Pitch misses again, just up out of the zone, which he did call a strike earlier to Cody Kelch. 2-0 the count to Diaz. Burns picks up the sign from Houston. He winds and comes home. It's upstairs for ball 3. Caleb Diaz way ahead in the count.
You know, the sidearm might kind of throw off some pitchers, but also it's a little harder to control for other pitchers.
That pitch right down the middle for strike one. 3-1 the count to Diaz. Still ahead. The pitch from Burns. That's fouled off for strike two, and the count works full. That breeze feels good blowing across. Fortunately, enough of it's blocked off from us. It's not blowing our papers around as bad as it was on Friday night with Brad Tillery losing his paperwork. Diaz swings.
It hits him, but he swung through, so that'll be strike three, even though he got hit.
And he's out. Wow.
I think this might be the third time I've said it tonight, but I think that's the first time I've ever seen someone swing as they were hit. And I think it would have been a check swing if he had not been hit, and he kind of went through as the pain went and hit him on the side. And I've always been curious what happens in that case, but I guess it's a strike because he swung his bat, and strike three and out number 2 here.
Now batting for the Raiders, number 2, Nick Hempel. Hempel takes for strike one. Hempel with a walk and a sacrifice bunt. The 0-1 pitch, that's in the dirt for ball one. The count evens. Dalton Porter on deck for the Raiders. Raiders lead this game 8-0 here in the bottom of the third. Burns winds and deals. That pitch misses outside for ball 2. Burns pitching from the stretch. That's down the middle for strike 2. The count evens at 2. Deuces wild to Hempel. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Here in the bottom of the third. Curveball gets away from Burns and goes wild to the fence. Hempel works the count full. climbs back in. Winding the pitch. This is fouled off the catcher's mask.
Well, that's why they wear those.
Yeah. It came off the bat and hit off his mask and into fair territory. Foul ball. Catcher's gear has improved and umpire's gear has improved so much over the years. Back in the day, whenever I played Little League ball, all we had was those little cushiony type pads for chest protection. Called third strike, and Hempel is retired as Burns retires the side in order. 1, 2, 3 on strikeouts. On to the fourth we go, with your Rouse Raiders leading the Cedar Creek Eagles 8-0 here in Leander. Number 9, Hunter Houston, stands in for the Eagles and takes strike one from Ramos. Nice little fastball. Gets the outside corner. The 0-1 pitch. That is popped up out towards center. Hayden Thomas tracks it, makes the catch, and Houston is retired for the first out of the inning.
That's the first action Thomas has seen out there in center field all game, and you have to wonder sometimes if those guys get a little bored and hope for it to come their way, but he gets it to go that way, and that's out number 1.
Garrett Bodine now stands in. A pitch from Ramos misses high for ball 1.
Yeah, curveball just didn't quite drop on him, but he used that last at-bat to get that pop-up.
Bodine with a single his last at-bat. Pitch drops in for a strike. And the count will even up. Oh, wait a minute. He called it a strike a while ago? I missed that. 0-2.
Yeah, the Raiders fans won't complain, but that was a little inside if you asked me. That one was clearly outside, though. But
1-2, the count to Bodine as that pitch came across as a ball. The 1-2 pitch. That's fouled off, and the count will remain 1-2. Guess they're going to reset the scoreboard. I think the scoreboard's messed up. They counted it as a strike. That's what it is. So this shows 2 outs. 1-2 the count with 1 away. This is a comebacker to the pitcher, and he makes the catch, and Bodine is retired. That'll be a L1 for a liner to the pitcher. 2 away. That's 1 unassisted, I guess you could say on that. I don't know how to really credit that one, but that's what I'm going to go with.
yeah, take the line out, and that'll be out number 2, and might have a quick conversation here before the at-bat.
Now batting for the Eagles, number 15, Gabriel Gonzalez. Number 15, Gabriel Gonzalez, the third baseman, stands in. I think they're going to go. Coach Crimpine's even coming out. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. It looks like Ramos was the one who initiated this conversation, and
not sure if there's blisters on his fingers or his fingers were hurt.
Maybe that line drive hit him a little hard, and he just wants to shake it off and get is it jammed maybe? You see that in basketball all the time where a ball comes in and it kind of jams your finger, and you can't really do it yourself because you can't really inflict pain, but you ask somebody else to unjam it for you, and that'll cut down on the swelling and immediately help out the fingers. And situation where the ball came right back and maybe jammed Ramos in the glove a little bit, he'll see if he's going to be able to play. But he takes off his glove, and it might be
the trainer attending to Ramos as Ramos pours some water on his fingers. I'm not sure if they're blistering or
not sure either, to be honest with you.
What's happening? Well, we have some activity going in the Raider bullpen, and I'll let you know who it is here in just a second. Can't quite make out the number. It looks like it may be Seth Francis.
Well, Burns has done a good job in relief here for the Eagles, so perhaps if Ramos, gets out of this inning, it'll be time for a new Raiders pitcher as well.
Ramos back on the hill. He winds and delivers. Tell you what, he's thrown some good pitches that I think have been non-calls. And that being one of them. The 1-0. Same spot. And he gets called for ball 2. 2-0 the count to Mr. Gonzalez. A curveball in for a called strike, as Mr. Gonzalez was taking all the way. 2-1 the count. The wind in the pitch, that's fouled off and out of play. And the count evens at 2. The deuces wild to Gabriel Gonzalez.
Speaking of deuces, that curveball's been the bread and butter for Ramos in this inning.
The pitch, that fastball is fouled off, and the count remains.
I'll be curious to see if he goes back to that curve or if his fingers are maybe bothering him. They have to get new baseballs out here.
I think he's out of baseballs. His fingers really seem to be tender, but I'm not sure. I mean, we're hypothesizing that might be what we're seeing. The 2-2 pitch, a curveball that Gonzalez gets a piece of and remains alive on a 2-2 count. Ramos picks up the sign from Southern. The pitch, and again, Gonzalez gets a piece of it to stay alive and is really turning this into a quality at bat. Ramos winds. The pitch sails high and outside, and the count goes full. The payoff pitch from Ramos, the curveball. This one's popped up. Could be trouble. And Nick Hempel was able to get to it and retire Gonzalez. And after 3.5, it's your Rouse Raiders 8, the Cedar Creek Eagles 0. 8 runs on 7 hits, no errors for the Raiders, no runs, 1 hit, no errors on the Cedar Creek Eagles. On to the bottom of the 4th we go.
This is Brad Tillery.
This is Chuck Craigston.
This is Matt Leishman.
This is Steven Stein.
This is Abby Hake.
This is Karl Schoening.
And this is Rob Hipp, and we are SHN Sports, your source for live high school football action in Central Texas. Please join us on Thursday and Friday nights for live coverage before, during, and after the games. That's SHNSports.com. Your team, your broadcast.
2015 10-5. Touchdown, Dakota Cahill.
This broadcast is under the direction and is copywritten by the Schoening Hip Network. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, use of sound bites and interviews, and use of any other content, including audio or video, without the direct written consent and permission by the Schoening Hip Network is strictly prohibited and protected by federal and copyright laws. All rights are reserved by the Schoening Hip Network and SHNSports.com.
Dalton Porter leading off the fourth for the Raiders. Welcome back to SHN Sports. Michael Francis alongside Karl Schoening tonight. The pitch from Cameron Burns in for a called strike to Dalton Porter.
Man, Porter's crowding that plate to where his toes are out of the batter box.
He'll crowd it up to as much as he can. The 0-1 pitch, swing and a miss from Porter. And down in the count, 0-2 to get things started here in the fourth. Lance Little on deck for the Raiders. Burns effectively keeping the Raiders off balance. The 0-2 pitch. That falls in for a base hit. Porter rounds first on his way to second, and he'll be in with a stand-up double. He just got a piece of that, and it goes just past the bag and bounces out foul. Out the foul line, but that was a fair ball.
Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, number 20, Lance Little.
One on with no outs here in the bottom of the fourth. Cameron Burns on the hill for the Eagles. The pitch, that's upstairs for ball one. Hunter Houston behind the plate for the Eagles. I believe
Southard was coming a little close in the at on deck bat. So yeah,
he'll do that from time to time, and he usually gets warned back.
He got warned for it last time, and I saw him do it this time. I was curious if they would catch it.
The 1-0 pitch sails high for ball two. 2-0 the count to Lance Little. Little is singled and grounded out to first. The pitch. This is slapped on and hit out toward right. Right fielder over and dives, and it bounces out of his glove. He throws, and the runner is safe. Little gets a sliding double. And Porter down to third, where he held up there. So that's going to be an error on the right fielder. I called it a double, but that's going to be an E9. And that'll bring up the hard-hitting Jared Southard.
Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, Jared Southard.
The pitch misses down and away for ball one. Runners at second and third with no outs here in the bottom of the fourth. Burns comes set. He delivers outside for ball 2.
Oh, he's keeping Southard. He's keeping things away from Southard, I should say, as he doesn't want Southard to get a good hold of this one.
Southard drew a walk his first at bat. A swing and a miss from Southard for strike 1. 2-1 the count now to Jared Southard. Hayden Thomas on deck. Burns comes set. He delivers. This is a comebacker and hits Burns in the midsection. Oh, ouch.
Ooh.
Time is called, and Coach Crimpine held up Dalton Porter. Jared Southard down to first, and Burns is on the ground.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate landing spot for Burns. But you know, when it comes at you that fast, it's not just a simple injury. You know, that's something that he needs to hopefully be okay with, because I've seen that cause some serious damage.
Well, it's every parent's fear when they see their child get hit on the mound. And I have to be honest, it's got me choked up.
Yeah, we should we'll step away here and hope that Burns is okay, because very heads-up thing by Rouse to pause here, and we'll go ahead and do the same.
Cameron Burns to his feet, and he is walking off, and we're glad to see that.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the end of his evening, and hopefully everything's okay. It looked like, he took a real shot from a liner there, and those kind of things can be very serious, but the good news is he was able to walk under his own power, and hopefully everything will be okay for him, because he was having a great outing, and then, yeesh, that was a rough one.
The good thing about it, Karl, is that he didn't take the brunt of it. It hit the base of the mound as it came up and hit him in the midsection.
Oh, okay, good. I didn't quite see that, because it was a hard shot right back to the mound, and
yeah, if it would have been a straight line shot to his midsection, I don't think you'd see him up right now.
Yeah, so it's definitely good to see him make it back to the dugout under his own power, and we're probably gonna have to go ahead. Obviously, we're gonna have a new pitcher in here, and he inherits a tough situation, but it's better than the alternative of serious injury where we might have to delay the game, and it looks like the game will get going, and I think Burns will be okay, hopefully.
Now pitching for the Cedar Creek Eagles, number 15, Gabriel Gonzalez.
Now pitching for the Eagles, number 15, Gabriel Gonzalez. And they've made some defensive changes. It'll be hard to see that because their numbers there's not enough contrast on their numbers between the black and blue.
Yeah, we'll see who moves over to third now, and we'll go take that care of.
Gabriel Gonzalez getting his warm-up throws after the shot to Cameron Burns from Jared Southard. And even as a player, you never want to see that happen. We've seen so many tragic situations where even in the majors, you've seen guys get hit in the head and never make it back.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, that's something interesting you bring up, to where maybe it's not helmets, but hard hats perhaps is kind of something that will eventually be trending towards the future, because you see it already where the third base coaches have to wear helmets, and that was because of a tragic accident with a foul ball. But, you know, these are hard balls, and they're moving fast.
Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, number 10, Hayden Thomas.
Number 10, Hayden Thomas, now stands in for the Raiders. Robbie Ramos on deck. The wind and the fire from Gonzalez. A little soft curveball drops in for strike one.
Yeah, the off-speed caught Thomas off guard a little bit. He wanted to swing at it, but I think by the time he decided, it was too late.
Thomas with a double and a walk. The 0-1 pitch. Again, gets the outside corner from the soft-throwing Gonzalez. Thomas finds himself down in the count. 0-2. Bases are loaded. The pitch gets away from Hunter Houston, but stays close enough to the plate that everybody holds. 1-2 the count to Mr. Thomas. We'd like to thank everybody for joining in and listening to another Raider baseball broadcast. Wild pitch goes to the fence. That'll score Porter. And Ethan Moore advances, as well as Lance Little.
Yeah, tough such situation here for Gabriel Gonzalez, coming in and got those first two strikes and tried to keep going for that outside corner and missed there.
2-2 the count to Hayden Thomas. Gonzalez winds, he fires. This one's hit out to center. This is going to be left center, and it falls in for a base hit. Gets away from the center fielder, and everybody is safe, and two more runs have scored. Hayden Thomas with a 2 RBI single. And Rouse continues to stack up the runs. That'll bring up Robbie Ramos.
Now batting for the Raiders, number 11, Robbie Ramos.
Gonzalez picks up the sign from Houston. He drops a curveball in for a called strike.
That was a beautiful curveball, and, you know, it's good to see that Gonzalez has found his rhythm and coming in a tough situation.
Well, he keeps going back to that curveball. He's thrown it more than any other pitch. His fastball sails high for ball one, and that'll even up the count. John Dominguez on the deck. Runner at first in the form of Hayden Thomas. That pitch just out of the zone for ball two. Again, we'd like to thank you for listening in to SHN Sports and Rouse Raider Baseball. Rouse with an 11-0 lead over the Cedar Creek Eagles.
And they're doing well, holding on to that third place spot here in 19-5A, and playoff push will be all they need to hopefully get into one of the top two spots.
Gonzalez delivers another curveball, but this time it misses low and away. Ramos ahead in the count, 3-1. Gonzalez comes set, delivers ball four, and Ramos draws the walk. That'll bring up the hard-hitting John Dominguez. John Dominguez has gone over the fence already in this ball game.
I imagine that's what Houston's probably mentioning to Gonzalez, just a reminder.
Patrick Sosa comes on to run for the pitcher and Robbie Ramos. Hunter Houston goes out to talk to Gabriel Gonzalez. Make sure that they're on the same page and they're understanding the signs. John Dominguez now stands in. Takes strike one.
Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, number 6, John Dominguez.
Gonzalez from the stretch delivers. It's outside for ball one. That'll even the count up at 1. Cody Kelch on deck for your Raiders. No outs. 2 runners on here in the 4th. Foul tip. And the count goes to 1-2. Dominguez goes to his knee, trying to reach out to that. Reminiscent of Texas Rangers' Adrian Beltre. 1-2 the count to Dominguez. The pitch from Gonzalez, a swing and a miss. A drop, third strike, but the base is occupied, so Dominguez is retired for the first out of the inning on the strikeout.
Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, number 14, Cody Kelch.
Cody Kelch now stands in. The big right-hander. Runners at first and second, 1 away. Pitch sails wide for ball 1. Kelch, the 7th batter of the inning. Gonzalez checks Thomas at second, and this ball is struck and hit down the left field. That'll score Hayden Thomas. Patrick Sosa will hold up at second. So an RBI single for Cody Kelch. Runners at first and second. That'll bring up Caleb Diaz.
Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, number 9, Caleb Diaz.
Well, the pitch goes wide for ball 1 to Diaz. Diaz, the 8th batter of the inning for the Raiders. Some more activity going on in the Raider bullpen. This pitch is launched out to left field. That's going to be over the head and to the fence. That'll score Sosa. And Kelch holds up at third. It's Diaz with a stand-up double. And the Raiders have taken a 13-0 lead here in the bottom of the 4th.
Yeah, Gonzalez, who came into this inning with a tough situation of the bases loaded with no outs, has not really gotten much of a break except for the base being occupied when Dominguez struck out. And he got that strikeout, but it's been a long inning for him coming in for relief.
Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, number 18, Gage Cook.
I think it's Matt Bateman.
Matt Bazemore.
Matt Bazemore now batting for the Raiders. A check swing and a strike. And Bazemore down in the count, 0-2. That pitch misses for a ball. I'll get my notes all caught up here. The 1-2 pitch. This is launched out to right center. This will drop in for a base hit. That'll score Cody Kelch. And the Raider bats have gone wild here in the 4th. Number 42, Stephen Connie will stand in for the Raiders. Number 26, Gage Cook on deck. Matt Bazemore with a single. The pitch misses outside as Connie is hitting for Dalton Porter, who got things started here in this inning. The 1-0 misses low for ball 2. Back pick, not in time as Bazemore dives back in. The score now 14-0 Rouse. Gonzalez winds. He comes home. That pitch in for a called strike. And the count is now 3-1. Gonzalez struggling to find the zone. That pitch sails high for ball 4. And Connie draws the walk. And that'll load the bases for number 26, Gage Cook. Cook will be hitting for the first baseman, number 20, Lance Little. Pitch drops in for a strike as Gonzalez gets ahead in the count. Bases loaded with 1 out here in the 4th. Pitch fouled off for strike 2. 0-2 the count to Gage Cook. Seeing his first action of the night. Raiders with a comfortable lead and batting some of the other players that normally don't get to bat. A big swing and a miss from Cook for the second out of the inning. Bases still loaded, and that'll bring up Jared Southard. Now batting for your Rouse Raiders, number 23, Jared Southard. Southard stands in. Gonzalez winds and fires high out of the zone for ball 1. Southard singled and scored earlier in this inning. This is a bloop down to first base, and the first baseman has it, tags the bag, and the side is finally retired. But the Raiders score 6 runs on several hits. No errors.
It was a good inning there for the Raiders, yeah.
And they lead the Cedar Creek Eagles 14-0 on a line of 14 runs, 12 hits, and no errors. And Cedar Creek, no runs, 1 hit and 1 error. And on to the 5th we go, and that'll bring out, it looks like, is Ramos still on the mound? I believe it is. Robbie Ramos back on to pitch the 5th. For the Raiders.
And I believe we were talking about this earlier, but a potential run rule in effect here if they can get 3 outs, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so Ramos perhaps going for the distance and getting a complete game in his book. And the good news is it looks like he's not significantly injured, as we were talking about last time. He might have had a little bit of jammed finger or something that took him to the dugout, and he finished that 4th inning, so comes back out for the 5th inning.
Due up for the Eagles in the 5th will be Claven Cleric, Garrett Seagraves, and Benji Garrison. And by run rule, this should be the last inning unless Cedar Creek manages to string together 5 runs. a little time as Jared Southard was the last at bat and had to get his gear on.
Good job on the music selection, by the way, tonight.
Thank you. It's stretch time in Leander. And here we go, little Cotton Eye Joe.
The 5th inning stretch since there's only 7 innings in high school.
Right.
That makes
Something
sense.
like that. There it goes again. Evidently, I hit the wrong thing. And
Now batting for the Cedar Creek Eagles, number 5, Clayton Cleric.
number 5, Clayton Cleric stands in, and he'll face Robbie Ramos. Ramos deals a curveball that catches the outside corner for strike 1. Then Cleric 0 for 1 and is only at bat. A swing and a miss for strike 2. The 0-2 pitch from Ramos, again working quickly. Pitch, fastball outside for ball 1. Swing and a miss. And Van Cleric is retired for out number 1. That'll bring up Garrett Seagraves. Actually, that's a new batter, and that is going to be J.J. Gonzalez.
Now batting for the Eagles, number 3, J.J. Gonzalez.
The pitch from Ramos is swung on and missed for strike 1.
Yeah, I think Ramos is fine. Showing his rhythm now.
The 0-1, as this game is well in hand, misses low for ball 1. That'll even the count at 1. I'm not sure where that missed, but it did. 2-1, the count to Gonzalez. Pitch misses outside for ball 3. 3-1, the count to J.J. Gonzalez. Pitch, a curveball, and I think may have gotten a piece of him, but it was ball 4 anyway. And J.J. Gonzalez draws the walk. 1 on with 1 out here in the top of the 5th, and that'll bring up number 1. I believe that's number 1. It's number 7. Brandon Osoria. Pitch from Ramos. In for a called strike.
Now batting for the Eagles, number 7, Brandon Osoria.
The 0-1 pitch from Ramos. In for a called strike. And Osoria down. 0-2. He is batting for the first baseman, Benji Garrison.
I think a little bit of dirt got in the eye of our home plate umpire there, and he had to pause real quick. He's good.
The 0-2 from Ramos. Pitch sails high for ball 1. Runner at first in the form of J.J. Gonzalez. The 1-2, and that hits him. And for the first time tonight, the Eagles find themselves with 2 runners on. A walk and a hit by pitch, 2 freebies.
Now batting, number 23, Alex Pena.
Alex Pena batting for number 12, Ashton Figueroa. He takes a strike and a ball. 1-1 the count to Figueroa. 2 on with 1 out here in the top of the 5th. The pitch. Just at the top of the zone for a strike. 1-2, the count to Pena. This could be it on this pitch. The 1-2, fastball in for strike 3. That's 2 away. 2 on with 2 outs. 4, and hold on, I'll tell you, number 2, and that's going to be Payne Allen. Now batting, number 2, Payne Allen. The pitch in for a call strike. That fastball right down Broadway. 0-1 to Payne Allen. Curveball he lost the handle on, sails high for ball 1. That'll even the count. The 1-1 pitch just misses for ball 2. Raiders leading the Cedar Creek Eagles 14-0 here in the top of the 5th. Curveball drops in for strike 2. Once again, the count evens. Deuces wild to Payne Allen. This could be the game right here. The 2-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. And that should be ball game. And we're going to go with this right here. Yeah, no, not right now. Fan asking if he was on camera. Definitely not. Well, Karl, it was a heavily sided game in favor of the Raiders as they were able to generate all the offense, and Cedar Creek Eagles really struggled to generate any type of offense against Robbie Ramos. Ramos really doing good in controlling the game, even when he struggled at first to find the zone. This first batter he faced got on with a 4-pitch walk.
Yeah, exactly. And then he really kind of calmed down after that, and he didn't allow another base hit until the 2nd inning, and that was the only base hit the entire game for Cedar Creek, and certainly one of those things where you see them Thursday and you're going to be excited to try and duplicate that performance at Cedar Creek in Bastrop. So I'd say a solid performance, a good bounce-back victory here for the Rouse Raiders, and they pick up a nice home victory tonight, and they get to go home and get that bad taste out of their mouth and hopefully try and improve on their record again Thursday. So, hey, we get Tuesday off now, so they get a little bit of rest as well. So it's nice of the game to go the way it went tonight.
It really was. Robbie, I mean, he just had an outstanding performance, and Raider bats really came to life and made things happen off some pitching from Cedar Creek that just was, with a lineup the way that Rouse has, is going to take advantage of that type of pitching. If you're going to put it down the middle of the plate, Raiders going to take advantage of that. For
sure, and Burns came in and he really kind of calmed down the Raider bats there for an inning, and then all of a sudden he accidentally has the bases loaded and an injury caused him to leave. So the Raiders adjusting to that sidearm and picking up the victory as Gabriel Gonzalez came in with the run rule.
And, yeah, it's just a phenomenal outing for the Raiders on a bounce-back victory from a really terrible loss on Saturday to the Cedar Park Timberwolves. It just tightens the district race, and, every team's in control of their destiny at this point. But you can't play the way that Rouse played on Saturday and expect to win a district championship. And make the playoffs, that's definitely a possibility, but if you're going to play like that, it's just not quality baseball, and you can't expect to win a back-to-back district championship if you continue to play that way. But a great bounce-back win. They were resilient. They still have their ace available on Thursday in the form of Hayden Thomas. I think he's established himself as the ace for this program, and he's done an outstanding job. Tip of the hat to Robbie Ramos tonight for doing a good job on the hill to keep the Eagles at bay all night long. So I guess if you're going to look at somebody as a player of the game, you're going to really have to look in his direction and give him the nod, even though you had some outstanding performances at the plate. John Dominguez takes a home run without question, deep.
Yeah, in that second inning, just get it rolling, and that pretty much solidified the victory here for the Rouse Raiders, is that second inning where they really started to take off, and all of a sudden that the bats came alive. And, yeah, when you talk about offensive performances for the Raiders, there's several people you can go with, but Ramos definitely probably wins player of the game because he did it on the defensive side, and it was not any contest. Only one hit on the entire ball game. I'd take a one-hitter through 5 complete.
Yeah, absolutely. He got the shutout and on a one-hitter. So congratulations to him. But we're ready to close out the night. This is Michael Francis and Karl Schoening in a production from SHN Sports and Rouse Raider Baseball. Thank you for listening and watching. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you Thursday night at 7 o'clock from Cedar Creek High School in close to Bastrop, Texas.